Welcome, everyone, to our special inaugural meeting of January 8th, 2015. I would like to wish everyone a very happy new year and hope that everyone had a wonderful holiday season. I'd like to welcome, next to me, Mayor Lee here. Thank you for joining us today. I'd also like to welcome Judge John Stewart here, who will be swearing all of the newly elected supervisors in today, as well as our new District 3 supervisor as well. So with that, I'd like to ask Madam Clerk if you can please call the roll.
Thank you, Madam President. Supervisor Avalos.
Present.
Avalos present. Supervisor Breed.
Present.
Breed present. Supervisor Campos.
Present.
Campos present. Supervisor Christensen.
Present.
Christensen present. Supervisor Cohen.
Present.
Cohen present. Supervisor Farrell.
Present.
Farrell present. Supervisor Kim.
Here.
Kim present. Supervisor Marr.
Here.
Marr present. Supervisor and President Tang.
Present.
Tang present. Supervisor Wiener.
Present.
Wiener present. Supervisor Yee.
Present.
Yee present. Madam President, all members are present.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Will you please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance?
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now I'd like to actually take a moment to acknowledge the many department heads, staff of our city family who are here, members of our city commissions. As we all know, we cannot do all of our work alone. We really do depend on many of them who are here today. So I really want to recognize many who are in our presence. And if I call your name, if you wouldn't mind just please standing up so that we can all acknowledge and recognize you. We are very honored to have here with us today our newly inaugurated member of our Board of Equalization and former District 4 Supervisor Fiona Ma. We have State Senator Mark Leno, who was going to be here. We have former Supervisor Amos Brown. We also have former Supervisor Susan Leal. We have also newly elected or re-elected Board of Education members Shaman Walton and Hydra Mendoza. And next we have our Police Chief Greg Sir, District Attorney George Gascon, our Fire Chief Joanne Hayes-White, Public Defender Jeff Adachi, our Sheriff Ross Mercarimi. So as you can see here, this is a very safe area right here. I'd like to also recognize we do have our wonderful Deputy City Attorney, John Gibner, who's here, who staffs our board, but also our actual City Attorney here, Dennis Herrera. We have our Controller, Ben Rosenfield. Budget Analyst, Harvey Rose, and his team. Thank you. Assessor Recorder, Carmen Chu. Our Treasurer, Jose Cisneros. We have our Department of Public Health Director, Barbara Garcia. Ami Alden from our Department of Emergency Management. Of course, our Mayor's Chief of Staff here, Steve Cava. Also, we have our City Administrator, Naomi Kelly. Our Head of MTA, Ed Reskin. Phil Ginsberg from our Department of Parks and Rec. We've got Carla Johnson from our Mayor's Office on Disability. Nancy Alfaro from 311. Donna Levitt from our Office of Labor Standards Enforcement. We've got Adrienne Pond from our director. She's our director of our Office of Civic Engagement and Immigrant Affairs. Mickey Callahan from our Department of Human Resources. Mohammed Nuru from our Department of Public Works. Deborah Raphael from our Department of Environment. Monique Moyer from our port. John Ram, our Director of Planning. His counterpart at DBI, Tom Huey. And Tiffany Bohe, our Director of OCII. And of course, we have Olson Lee from our Mayor's Office of Housing. So I apologize if I missed anyone, but as you know, it's a pretty packed room here. But again, really want to thank on behalf of our whole city family, all the departments and everyone who works in your department for all of your work with us. Of course, I want to again acknowledge all the commissioners who are also here today. So thank you. So with that, Madam Clerk, do you have any communications?
Yes, Madam President. I have 3. From the Director of the Department of Elections, Mr. John Arntz, who has certified the candidates for the office of members of the Board of Supervisors who received the plurality of votes cast at the election held on November 4th, 2014, namely Supervisors Malia Cohen from District 10, Supervisor Mark Farrell from District 2, Supervisor Jane Kim from District 6, Supervisor and President Katie Tang from District 4, and Supervisor Scott Wiener from District 8. The second communication is dated today, January 8th, 2015 at 12:01 from the Honorable Mayor Edwin Lee, who has appointed Julie Christensen to serve as the District 3 Supervisor. Congratulations, Supervisor Christensen. The final communication is from our controller, Ben Rosenfield, confirming that all newly elected, appointed, and continuing members of the board have been officially bonded as of today, January 8th, as required by the San Francisco Administrative Code.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And now, if all of the newly elected or re-elected supervisors can please join us up front here. We will be joined by the Honorable John Stewart, who will administer the oath of office to each of us, as well as our newly appointed District 3 Supervisor.
Face the audience. No.
President Tang, and good afternoon, everyone. It's a privilege and honor for me to be here and to participate in this swearing-in ceremony. And on behalf of San Francisco Superior Court, I'd like to say that I look forward to working with all of you in the future to find ways to continue to provide greater access to justice for all San Franciscans. So we'll begin, and I will first say I, and then would each of you individually state your name one after another. I.
Scott Wiener.
Mark Farrell.
Malia Cohen. Julie Christensen.
All right, and now we'll all follow me together. Do solemnly swear or affirm. Please raise your hand. That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the State of California.
And the Constitution of the State of California.
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
All enemies, foreign and domestic.
That I will bear true faith and allegiance.
Bear true faith and allegiance.
To the Constitution of the United States.
To the Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the State of California.
The Constitution of the State of California.
That I take this obligation freely.
I take this obligation freely.
Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion.
Without any reservation or purpose of evasion.
And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter during such time as I hold the office of the member of Board of Supervisors and member of the Transportation Authority of the City and County of San Francisco.
Member of the Transportation Authority of the City and County of San Francisco.
Congratulations.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. I know that we need to proceed to our nominations for the president of the board, which everyone is in eager anticipation of. But before Mayor Lee has to step out, I just wanted to give him, without objection, the opportunity to say a few words to our chamber. Mayor Lee.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to City Hall. I just briefly want to say congratulations to each and every member of the board that's been reelected and sworn in. I also want to say thank you to their families and their parents who are here today. You are in the great City Hall of San Francisco, 3-time World Series champion San Francisco. But I pledge to you that I will work closely with each member of the Board of Supervisors to improve the lives of everyone in this city. This is important to us, and this is why we come to this public office. So I congratulate all of the re-elected and the new supervisors, and I look forward to working with all of you as I do with each and every member of the entire elected city family and appointed members of the city family. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor Lee. And now, Madam Clerk, if you can please call item 4.
We will now proceed to the nominations for the board president. And Madam President, I have a few nomination principles. A board president is elected when a nominee receives a majority vote. All members must vote when the question is put to them. A member may nominate themselves. There can be one nomination per supervisor. However, nominations can be reopened, and if reopened, a supervisor may withdraw their own name or their nominee and nominate another. A second for a nomination is not required. A nominee does not have to accept the nomination and can withdraw their name without a second. To reopen nominations, it requires a motion, a second, and a majority vote. The nominee receiving the lowest number of votes is not removed from the ballot unless they withdraw their own name. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. And now, Supervisor Cohen is first on the roster.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. How are you? All right. That's good. I'd like to just open up with a few remarks on the reasons why I'm putting forward Supervisor London Breed's name for consideration for a nomination. It's been very rewarding to watch her mature in the last almost 2 years, growing into her own. Many of you may remember she was a brash hothead. Those that chuckle, you know exactly what I mean. But to watch her mature and to grow into this leadership position has been amazing. 2 years ago, we also had a conversation in this chamber about the importance of leadership and shared leadership. And I think it's time for this city as well as this country to look and to recognize leadership in untraditional ways. And it's a privilege to stand before you to put forth Supervisor Breed as a name for our board president. Supervisor Breed is a talented woman. She's courageous, she's smart, she's disciplined, and above all else, she crafts policy with love in her heart. She has never forgotten her roots, which were established right here in our own very city. This is a personal nomination for me to be able to present this woman to you. I hope, colleagues, that you will join me in supporting Supervisor Breed as our president. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Cohen. Supervisor Avalos.
Thank you, President Tang. I stand to support my colleague and friend, David Campos, for board president. David Campos today, in this past half hour, has started his 7th year on the Board of Supervisors, and he has shown remarkable grace in his work as a supervisor. I really admire his work across the political spectrum here in San Francisco on the Board of Supervisors, but also he serves in regional government where he does that on the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, and he's been a great advocate for San Francisco in that process. Last year, we know that he was part of a race that was very contested for the Assembly, and he's shown that he has a significant base of support around San Francisco, people who really believe in his work, in his effort. His legislative effort has been something that is very admirable, especially last year as well. We saw great pieces of legislation that came out that was really addressing where San Francisco's at with our affordability crisis. His vision, his leadership is something that I can unite the Board of Supervisors together to show that we are actually going to be committed to actually working on making San Francisco the diverse city that it truly is. So it's with great pride that I nominate him for Board President, and I hope to have your support, colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Avalos. Any further nominations or discussion among colleagues? Seeing none, then we will actually go to
Public comment.
apologies. Roll call.
Public comment.
Public comment, yes.
Now is the opportunity for the public to address the board for up to 2 minutes on any possible member of the Board of Supervisors to be nominated to the office of Board President. If there are members of the public watching this in the light court or in the committee room, please feel free to make your way to the line out in front of the chamber, and the deputies will allow you in. Thank you, Madam President.
Okay. I apologize. Before we enter into public comment, I'd like to recognize Supervisor Wiener.
Thank you very much, President Tang and colleagues. Congratulations for everyone who was just sworn in, and look forward to 4 more years of working together. I'm not making a nomination, but I just want to make a couple of points. First of all, the fact we have 2 exceptional human beings who have been nominated, and the fact that the 2 nominees for the President of the Board of Supervisors of the City and County of San Francisco, that one is someone who grew up in public housing in San Francisco, and another is someone who came to the United States as an undocumented immigrant as a child, shows what this city is about, that this is a city where people can come and succeed and where we embrace everyone. So I want to congratulate, I think, us as a city that this is what we do here in San Francisco. I had Supervisor Cohen not beaten me to the punch. I would have nominated Supervisor Breed, and I want to express my strong support for London Breed to be President of the Board of Supervisors. I have had the pleasure of knowing Supervisor Breed for many years, and of course working with her as a colleague for the last 2 years. And as we all know, Supervisor Breed is someone with incredibly strong convictions, someone who has deeply rooted in her principles and is so committed to her community. It is mind-boggling. Sometimes she came to City Hall to fight for her community. And I have seen, particularly over the last 2 years, Supervisor Breed really grow to continue to fight like crazy for her community and for her district, but to really look at the whole city and to understand that as members of the Board of Supervisors, we may represent a district, 1/11th of the city, that we may have been sent here or elected by one group of people or another, but that we all have a responsibility to represent all 840,000 people, or whatever the number is, all residents of San Francisco. And especially to be President of the Board of Supervisors, you have to take that to heart. I know that Supervisor Breed will do that. I have worked with her on so many issues, and I have seen how thoughtful she is, how fair she is, her ability to work with people that she disagrees with, and I'll be very, very honored to cast a vote for her today.
Thank you, Supervisor Wiener. And colleagues, any further discussion on the nominations? Seeing none, then at this point we will enter into public comment. As Madam Clerk had already stated the grounds for public comment, please line up to my left of the chamber if you'd like to speak.
Good afternoon. Madam Chair, members of this august body, ladies and gentlemen, I rise as a former member of this Board of Supervisors and as a pastor in this community for now 39 years, to encourage you to vote for this incredible woman, Ms. London Breed. She embodies the 3 C's. Number 1, she has impeccable character. What you see is what you get. She's a person whom you can depend on and has high moral principles. Number 2, she's competent. Thank God that she was trained academically and disciplined in the schools of this community, received a higher education at the University of California at Davis. Finally, she has the chemistry that pulls people together. And as we witness in our world that unfortunately there are too many isms that divide us, we ought to go with a person who knows how to be a unifier in the midst of diversity and respecting diverse opinions. You vote for her, you won't go wrong. And in this town, we will all be able to say, I'm black and I'm proud. I'm brown and I'm sound. I'm yellow and I'm mellow. I'm red but I ain't dead. I'm white and I'm all right. I'm gay and I'm godly. I'm straight and I'm sensible.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Tyra Fennell, and I too would like to endorse Supervisor Breed as President of the Board of Supervisors. I was lucky enough to first meet and work with Supervisor Breed when she was in the community at the African American Art and Culture Complex, and I was a new resident to San Francisco from DC, and she was the first person someone suggested I meet, and it was the best meeting of my life. To see Ms. Breed's conviction and love for her community, and to see her heart broken a lot of times by the people she serves, but she gets back in there, especially with the youth, and sometimes even going to their homes and meeting with their families when she was actually working in the nonprofit sector was just inspiring. So I had no doubt in my mind that when she was voted into the Board of Supervisors, she would do what she's doing now, which is delivering, and she will do more as President of the Board of Supervisors. I wholeheartedly support London Breed in all of her professional endeavors and hope you take this into consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Vladimir Prikupets. I immigrated from Jew from Russia 40 years ago. Now I am homeless and I am dying on the street of San Francisco because it's fascist country and the Board of Supervisors and Mayor Lee is fascist Gestapo people. I got 4 proclamations, one from Mayor Newsom, the best citizen of of San Francisco, one proclamation from Mayor Lee, best citizen of San Francisco, in 2 of Board of Supervisors, the best citizen, and now they evicted me, 83 years old, Holocaust and World War II survivor. It's only in one country in the world who could evict 83 years person on the street to die without medicine and without doctors. And chief of police, whom I called Hitler, 2 times in his face I told him Hitler, because he helped to evict me. 6 people, 6 policemen came at 12 o'clock at night, came and evicted me on the street. It only could happen in Germany. Only at 12 o'clock that people couldn't see on the street what is chief. He's sitting there and he is laughing. You will laugh from God. I need help. I am 83 years old, dying on the street without medicine and doctor in his type of fascist country.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Marion Jackson, and I'm here to represent the Officers for Justice, Peace Officers Association. And we want to wholeheartedly endorse Supervisor Breed. I worked with Supervisor Breed in the past, and I know she's dedicated to her job. She's also a consensus builder, and I think as president, she will work toward the good of San Francisco and not just one district. I also have seen her at work for as a fire department commission, and also she did a lot with redevelopment. So I think she would be an asset as president of the Board of Supervisors. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon, Supervisors. My name is Leah Piedmontel, and I'm here to speak in support of Supervisor Breed for Board President. I've known Supervisor Breed for over 5 years. I've seen her dedication to her community and to the children. She's one of the people that I can say has a huge dedication to children and families in the Western Addition. Having her as board president will show the youth that they can have the dream. Someone who lived in public housing to become board president shows a significant message that they can achieve the dream as London Breed did. And I would ask you all to support London Breed for president. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I'd also actually just like to alert the members of the public who are commenting, you may speak at the podium. And anyone who is in the overflow rooms in the Northlight Quarter Room 263, please do make your way over for public comment. Next speaker, please.
Good afternoon, Supervisors. My name is Sean Buford, resident in San Francisco and also representing San Francisco Firefighters Local 798. Stand in support of Supervisor London Breed for board president. I've had the pleasure of working with her as a citizen, working in communities with the youth at the Culture Center. I've also, as a member and the treasurer of our board, been able to work with her on public safety issues and other issues and concerns to our local. So I just want to come up here and say that we stand in support of her nomination for president. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Afternoon and welcome. My name is Nancy Rock, and I am here to offer my support to London Breed. London has been a great community advocate for women, and that's why I'm here, because I'm a women's advocate. And I know, thank you, confidently, that she will continue to work with us and for us as the president of the board. So I recommend London Breed, and I hope that you will consider that. Thank you.
I couldn't just sit in the overflow room without coming and supporting my auntie and my former boss as I interned for these past couple of summers in London Breed. She has been very close to me and my family, and just being an aspiring leader in San Francisco, I pretty much look behind a whole lot of leaders in this city, but none other more than my auntie, London Breed, who came from the projects like me. And, she's a constant reminder to me that this hall isn't too far from where I was raised. And I am honored to sit here and support you in becoming the next president of the Board of Supervisors.
Hello, members of the board. My name is Tom Temprano. I'm one of the co-presidents of the Harvey Milk LGBT Democratic Club. I'd like to say that, regardless of who this body picks, the board will have a fine incoming president. I would like today to speak on behalf of and lend my support to Supervisor David Campos for president. Harvey Milk 40 years ago worked hard to create to make San Francisco a beacon of hope for LGBT people, not only around the country, but around the world. And to me, Supervisor David Campos, his story of coming here as an undocumented immigrant, and today sitting among you as a member of San Francisco's legislative body, speaks to just how loud and strong that message of hope was that we now have before us a nominee of a queer, undocumented, or someone who came here as a queer, undocumented person before you who could become the next president of this body. Again, you have two fantastic choices, but I would like to stand in support of Supervisor Campos today.
Thank you. And before the next speaker comes up, I just want to call a few names from speaker cards I have. If they can please line up: Rodolfo Cancino, Sandra M., Jeannie Stone, and Karen Cancino. And of course, again, anyone who's in the overflow room, please do make your way over to the chamber. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is Henny Kelly. And what I'd like to say to you today is, oh, what a choice you have. Two magnificent people. I am speaking for David Campos. I am speaking for David Campos because I have worked with him on the Democratic County Central Committee. I have worked with him as a teacher. I have learned from him as a student. He is a mentor. You cannot choose anybody that is better than he. And yet, you have another choice who is wonderful too. But what David has given me is his compassion for people, his love for all people, his integrity and his honesty. And I thank him for that, and I speak for him because of that. Thank you so much, David Campos. You're my guy.
Good afternoon. My name is Kimberly Ellis. I'm the Executive Director of Emerge California. I am here today, however, in my personal capacity to voice my support for London Breed for the President. I've known London for several years now, and I have always known her to be someone who is first and foremost about the community. She is smart, she is intelligent, she is thoughtful, and she has always led with her head, but also with her heart. And in this day and age, when a large percentage of our political leaders are chiefly concerned with money and power and themselves, we have in London someone who is chiefly concerned with the betterment of the community. She is someone who is of the people, by the people, and for the people. London Breed is the future. She is exactly what this city and what this board needs in a leader. She is dynamic. She is the future. The board would be very well suited to have her at the helm. Thank you, and go London.
I wasn't going to speak for London Breed, but I do want to point out, being a Western Addition resident, that she has worked very hard for that district, but at the same time, she doesn't just take the district into consideration, as others have pointed out. She's definitely a person that's a unifier and considers a city as a whole. So in that stead, I would ask you to vote for her. But aside from that, I wish I had been able to speak about this other subject later rather than right now during this supervisor's election. As home sharers, my wife and I were very excited to have an opportunity to register and to become legal as home sharers. Now I read that after 2 years of batting around the home sharing legislation and having approved it, that there is a supervisor that is again attempting to re-legislate what was already approved. In a negative way, it reminds me of a children's soccer game where the last second winning goal is being contested by the losing coach when the winning team's captain has left the field. As approved, the legislation for home sharing is good. Let's move on. I wish to be legal. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jeannie Stone, and I'm also a home sharer who shares 2 rooms in the home that I live. Supervisor Campos is planning to offer a new piece of legislation that would suspend the short-term rental law until the Airbnb pays its back taxes. This new legislation is crucial to weed out the bad actors who are taking housing off the rental market. We support it. Regarding the so-called back taxes owed, it's practically impossible for some websites to comply, since not all websites keep booking records, such as Craigslist and VRBO. So making the new law contingent on all websites paying back taxes is simply a cynical and deceptive guarantee that the new law never comes into effect. Campus's proposal to change the law so that the city treasurer will be required to publicly disclose the confidential tax information of private companies sets a dangerous precedent, one that ignores the privacy rights guaranteed under law. Supervisor Campos clearly does not like to lose a battle. This is political theater, and what is at stake here is the livelihood of thousands of San Franciscan families who are trying to make ends meet by simply sharing rooms in their own homes. I asked the Board of Supervisors to not relitigate this issue when we just went through 3 months of hearings on this. Supervisor Campos offered a similar amendment during the Board of Supervisors hearings in October and was voted down. I ask you that you please not postpone this legislation so that on February 1st I can properly register and be in compliance with the short-term rental law that this body deliberated, then voted on in favor of less than 90 days ago. Thank you.
My name is Karen Cancino, and I won't reiterate what the 2 previous speakers said. All I can add is that we worked very hard, didn't always agree with the legislation that ended up, but we're very satisfied. We will comply. We hope to do our best, and I hope that the current board will be reasonable, will think it through, and know that undoing what we've already set up, it needs a good try. It's just not going to work if we don't give it a try the way it is now. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Christina Rosasco, and I'm here to support London Breed for president. As a fellow Emerge sister, she has been a leader and a role model to me, and I know many women across the city. Her diversity and her commitment to advocacy in the community is exactly what San Francisco needs, and she would be a wonderful representative. So I wholeheartedly support London Breed. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
My name is Alex Koo. I came to this country in 1964. I've been this country in USA for 50 years. I'm a Chinese. And I like San Francisco. Eventually, I went to New York and stayed there in New York for 10 years. And then I came to San Francisco in 1971. And then I like San Francisco. And I would like London Breed as our next president of the board. She's fair, nice, and she works hard. And she's fair for all the people, not only fair for one group of people. The Chinese people like me, we would like to support London Breed as our next president of the board. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is Patrick Connors, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the nomination of David Campos for the president of the Board of Supervisors. I spent the last year getting to know Supervisor Campos during his campaign for the California legislature. And during that year, I was impressed with his ability to think on his feet, to be compassionate and calm in the face of some great and unwarranted criticism. He has served on this board for a number of years now, and I think has proven his ability to offer his talents, which are many, to this board in a time when they're needed. Also, he has shown that he is able and willing to take on some unpopular or difficult positions, which is something we need in the city. Instead of just abdicating to financial interests, people that are seeking to increase their own financial wealth and or position in the city government. It would be good to see a president of the Board of Supervisors who can stand up and collect taxes from companies that are valued at billions and billions of dollars, money that is owed to this city and should be paid like anyone pays taxes. I think that is a brave position to take. He's also been a very staunch, of course, advocate for LGBT issues. Just in the last year, I'm about to get called. Thank you. Support David Campos, and thank you, Mr. Campos, for everything you've done.
Thank you. And again, if anyone would like to speak during general public comment, please do line up. If you're in the overflow room, please do make your way over to the board chamber. Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Thank you. My name is Mark Gruber with the San Francisco Taxi Workers Alliance, and I came here to speak on another topic. I don't mean to crash the party on the board election, but this is something of immense importance to thousands of low-income San Francisco workers, that is to say the taxi drivers of San Francisco. The ride services like Uber and Lyft are having a devastating impact on taxi drivers and the taxi industry. Many cab drivers are not making the minimum wage. Cab drivers are coming back from their shifts on occasion having less money in their pockets than they started. They're leaving the industry in droves. Cab companies can't fill their shifts. This is a city that cares deeply about low-income workers and yet is not doing anything about this. The CPUC has created this disaster. They won't fix it. You've read about what's going on there. Another scathing report just made the news today. It's high time for the city to step in. San Francisco Taxi Workers Alliance and DeSoto Cab have issued a white paper explaining why San Francisco can and must regulate companies like Uber and Lyft and bring greater enforcement to bear on violations of law they and their drivers are committing. We applaud District Attorney Gascon for the steps he's taken to date, but much more needs to be done. The city has vital interests at stake. Besides the plight of cab drivers in the taxi industry are the safety of the public, service to the disabled community, and protection of the environment. Former Mayor Brown had some interesting comments in the Chronicle last Sunday on one thing that might be done, but other things must be done as well. Taxis perform an essential city service, and these other companies cannot do that. The city has the power to pull us out of this. I have copies of this white paper for each of you. You'll also find a legal analysis of the city's right to regulate these companies, authored by Attorney Chris Dolan. I'd like to offer these copies to the board.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Is there something?
Yes, the deputy will come and pick it up from you, Mr. Gruberg.
Anyone else who wish to speak on public comment, please do come forward. Otherwise, we will be closing public comment. Seeing none, public comment is now closed. And Madam Clerk, the moment you have all been waiting for, item 6, please.
Thank you, Madam President. The names of the supervisors that have been nominated for the election to the office of Board President, Supervisor Breed and Supervisor Campos. When called upon, each member of the board will indicate their preference by stating the name of the supervisor. Any questions? Okay. I'll start at the top of the alphabet with Supervisor Avalos.
Campos.
Avalos for Campos. Supervisor Breed.
Breed for Breed.
Breed for Breed. Supervisor Campos.
Campos for Campos.
Campos for Campos. Supervisor Christensen.
Breed.
Christensen for Breed. Supervisor Cohen.
Supervisor London Breed.
Cohen for Breed. Supervisor Farrell.
Supervisor Breed.
Farrell for Breed. Supervisor Kim.
Supervisor Campos.
Kim for Campos. Supervisor Marr.
Supervisor London Breed.
Marr for Breed. Supervisor Tang.
London Breed.
Tang for Breed. Supervisor Wiener.
Breed.
Wiener for Breed. Supervisor Yee.
Breed.
Yee for Breed. Supervisor Campos has 3 votes. Supervisor Breed has 8 votes. Congratulations, President Breed.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to announce to you our new board president, Supervisor London Breed.
I'm sorry, I have my name on the roster, and actually before that I did want to make a motion to rescind the vote.
Supervisor Kim, the election was held. My apologies for not seeing your name on the roster.
Thank you, everybody. I am so truly honored, excited, humbled. And I just want to start by thanking Supervisor Tang for her service. She has been an outstanding, fair, amazing president and an amazing supervisor to work with. So on behalf of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, Supervisor Tang, we honor you for your service to the city and county of San Francisco. Thank you. To my colleagues, I can't thank you enough. We have, over the years that I've been on this Board of Supervisors, we have had our differences, but what I appreciate most is each and every one of you are passionate about what you believe in. You're passionate about our city, and we may have a different way of which we go about doing business, but ultimately, I appreciate your support. I appreciate our working relationship, and I look forward to working together on this board with each and every one of us to serve this amazing city and county of San Francisco. And I'm humbled, like I said. I'm excited, I'm proud, and I'm truly looking forward to this honor. I definitely will be making some additional comments later, but today is the day that I want to recognize the people who have just spent the last probably year running for office. Running for office, the people who are reelected, congratulations, and I'm so glad that you're back here in City Hall so that we can continue the work that many of you started before your campaigns. To Supervisor Christensen, I'm totally looking forward to working with you. I'm very excited about the work that not only that you've done already in your community, but the work that you will do for your community here on the Board of Supervisors. Oh. So with that, I want to begin the process of introducing each member of the Board of Supervisors so that they have an opportunity to make remarks. They have an opportunity to introduce their family and friends who are here to support them today. So we're going to start the day with Supervisor Malia Cohen.
All right, thank you very much. Congratulations, Madam President. Good afternoon, everyone. As you heard, my name is Malia Cohen, and I was reelected in this last election cycle. And it is a privilege to be able to stand before you and to serve San Francisco as a member of the Board of Supervisors representing the southeastern neighborhoods of Bayview, Hunters Point, Potrero Hill, Dogpatch, Visitation Valley. I want to first take a moment to recognize my colleagues, those that were also re-elected. Congratulations. It was a pleasure to share an opportunity and take the oath with you. I also want to recognize the colleagues who provided support. Thank you. And I want to also recognize colleagues that taught me forgiveness. Thank you. I want to take a moment and I want to recognize my mother and my father. Ladies and gentlemen, where would we be without our mothers and our fathers, right? My mother, Loretta Brown Cohen, grew up here in San Francisco, along with my father, Everett Cohen. It's a privilege to be your eldest daughter. For those that don't know, I have 4 younger sisters, and my youngest sister, Marlena, is here with me as well to witness this. I have a whole host of friends and family that have joined us in this chamber today, people that have traveled, people that are in the office behind the chamber walls. I just want to take a moment and say thank you very much. I appreciate your love and your support. I also want to give a moment and recognize, many of you probably have heard the rumors, but I introduce my fiance, Warren Pulley. It has been an incredible 4 years, and I appreciate my friends and my families for being with me as I walk along this journey to continue my calling in life, which is to serve San Francisco. I also want to recognize one of my political mentors, Fiona Ma. She's been incredible. She helped me along the way, and she's been instrumental since day one. Thank you very much for being here. Earlier in the remarks you heard, by way of introduction, the distinguished department heads that have all left now, as you can see. Oh, Monique Moyer is still here, back from the port, yes. But without the help and the support of their staff as well as their expertise, it would make being a member of the board extremely difficult. And I do want to take a moment to recognize staff persons that I have grown to admire and to respect. There are department heads that I work overtime with, and I want to acknowledge Director Mohammed Nuru. He's the director of DPW, and this is the man that can clean up anything. And if you don't know him, you must know him. He's just an incredible, incredible resource. And I don't say that to tease out and leave the rest of you behind, but when you need your garbage picked up, what can I say? Want to also recognize the close relationship that I have in working with with MTA as we continue to grow on the southeastern sector of San Francisco. Transportation is absolutely critical. HSA is equally as critical as we begin to address our homeless challenges. I also need to give thanks to the men and women in labor. You heard a few of the voices from police and fire, but that also we also need to uplift the teachers. I'm a product of public schools, as are many members on this body, and if it were not for the teachers, for their hard work and their dedication, we would have truly a lost generation. And with that said, I also want to recognize the newly elected members to the school district. Congratulations to those members. It's good to see you all here today. I want to give a moment to respect not only the teachers, but the building and construction and trades, as well as the labor councils and the Alliance for Jobs for their leadership and dedication to the men and women in labor. and the countless of volunteers that stand with you when you are running for office. Now, these are the residents that come from every corner of District 10 who rolled up their sleeves, they made phone calls, they knocked on doors, and I can't even begin to name all of them here today, but I definitely want to take a moment to uplift a few: Pete and Phyllis Strain, Fran Martin, Dwayne Jones, and I have a fantastic support as well in Dogpatch that include Bruce Huey, Allison Sullivan, Leslie Grossblatt. I also need to recognize Potrero Hill. We have had an interesting relationship over the last 4 years, and I can only imagine it will continue to be interesting. But there is a group of leaders that are phenomenal, and I want to recognize Kepa and then also Patricia Aliman, who has been just so gracious. And then there leaves the beloved Bayview community. Many residents like Marlena Jackson, Jonathan Germain, Alka Jalshi, Mary Severance. But that's not where the list ends, because there's also the faith community, the faith leaders that stand with me, not only in body, but also in prayer. I want to recognize Reverend Brown. And Pastor Aurelius Walker is not able to join us here today, but that faith community is incredible. And it's also important to recognize that it's more than just the Christian faith, but it's the interfaith, particularly when we pay attention to the things that are happening around this world, in this globe. We, as a faith community, must continue to band together. And you would be nowhere without campaign staff. I want to recognize my campaign manager, Jessica Lovejoy. Thank you very much, Jessica. I know you're here. Thank you for your work. You can hold your applause because we will go on. Hai Chi and Genesis Garcia, these are two very special people. They sung Frozen's theme song with my 5-year-old niece so many times. They played Beauty Shop in the campaign office, but they knocked on doors and they turned out voters. To my colleagues, Supervisors Breed, Weiner, Tang, Farrell, former Supervisor Chu, Mar, and Yi, as well as Mayor Lee, thank you for your unwavering support. I am touched by your friendship and your kindness and your leadership. And it's been an honor to work with all of the aforementioned folks. And although we may not always agree, we can agree to disagree in a very civil manner and understand that it is this disagreement that good legislation continues to be produced from this body. And I'm looking forward to working and continuing to build bridges with folks that are here on this body. I wanted to take a moment and reflect on the many difficulties that we're facing here in our city and what we have faced as a community. Really, my thoughts begin to turn to those who have preceded myself and acknowledging what they have accomplished. I'd like to recognize former Supervisor Willie B. Kennedy. As many of you know, she passed away a few years ago. She stood in this chamber, and it's on her shoulders that Supervisor Breed and I stand on. Also want to recognize my immediate predecessor, Sophie Maxwell, has been just an incredible woman, silent and strong and encouraging every step of the way. And also want to recognize Supervisor Doris Ward, who has been a matriarch and has been impeccable when it comes to providing leadership and guidance and a steady motherly hand to help me as I began to navigate my career. You know, during the campaign, you have an opportunity to really begin to reflect on many things. And the best part about running for re-election is you get to revisit all 52 precincts of that make up District 10. And I've had the wonderful opportunity to reconnect with a lot of constituents that I normally don't have an opportunity to hear from. It's a very humbling experience to walk the hills of Potrero and Hunter's View and to look in the eyes of folks that are in need. And I want to recognize Lottie and my friends that are in the office now from Hunter's View that worked with me tirelessly to ensure that Phase 1 is completed in the rebuild of public housing. And I look forward to completing that entire process. And with that said, we are going to rebuild all of public housing in the city and county of San Francisco. All of it. And in order to do this moving forward, it's going to take efforts not just of one person or of one supervisor, but will require the efforts of everyone working together for a common goal. So as I embark on my second term as supervisor, I have a great deal of optimism on what we can achieve. I mean, we just elected an African-American woman as president of the Board of Supervisors. That is phenomenal. That is phenomenal. And when people think that they're down and out, I think that there is always a beacon of hope. I think it was Harvey Milk that says you got to give them hope. And I believe that, and I take that spirit with me every day when I come to these chambers and when I'm not in these chambers and I'm in the streets of District 10. Many people think of the district and images, negative images come to mind, high crime rate, poverty, poor infrastructure, underperforming schools, a part of San Francisco where no one should go. But everyone in District 10 knows that that's not all that there is to the neighborhood. And I represent a vibrant, live community with dedicated, committed, talented people, and it's resilient. One of the most resilient neighborhoods inside San Francisco. And we are really just at the beginning of this revitalization. And I want to thank those folks on OCII that serve our city, and Tiffany Bohe, under your leadership, thank you. Because what we are doing is we are revitalizing. A renaissance is at stake here. And it is exciting to see the southeast part of the city finally catching fire and moving forward in a positive way, and a way that's not leaving people behind, and that's really important. You can move forward and you cannot leave people behind. Yes, we've got our challenges, but that does not mean that we're defined by our challenges. We have begun to rebuild public housing, and we actually removed a little over 600 guns off the street, and I want to thank the police department for their leadership and commitment in doing that, and we will continue to do that and chip away and make sure that our safety net is safe and fair for everyone in this city. I want to, in closing, give a few remarks about some of the work that I'm going to be doing in the next 4 years. I'm going to be working to ensure that affordable units that are being built here in our city become available to everyone equally, and making sure that they're accessible and that there's quality advertisement in multiple languages. I think that's absolutely critical, and to ensure that longtime residents of the Southeast can remain residents in their own homes so that seniors can continue to grow in place. I want to make sure that everyone that's not in this chamber can hear my voice and understand that this moment is not about me. It is about our collective interests as we as a city begin to creatively figure out some of these challenges. The last 4 years have been about building partnerships, and now it's time to push to the next level. I'm here to humbly present myself as a bold servant for the city and county of San Francisco. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. My name is Malia Cohen.
Thank you, Supervisor Cohen. I'd now like to acknowledge Supervisor Mark Farrell.
Thank you, President Breed, and thank you, colleagues. You have to forgive my voice here today. I'm recovering from a cold. But first of all, I want to say congratulations to Supervisor Breed. You are going to do an amazing job as president of our board for the next 2 years, and I couldn't have been more proud to support you. Congratulations. And to Supervisor Christensen, welcome on board, and congratulations to you. I look forward to working with you for years to come, and congratulations on your appointment. I think District 3 is going to be incredibly well served, so congratulations. You know, I remember standing here 4 years ago to the day, I think over on that seat where Supervisor Tang is sitting right now, and remembering not having been in office before and just being so awestruck with these chambers, with City Hall. I mean, what an amazing building. But also did not at all appreciate the magnitude, the importance, and the impact of this job and this position. And I stand here 4 years later, absolutely humbled to be reelected and so looking forward to what the next 4 years are going to bring. You know, we've had an amazing last 4 years here in San Francisco. Our economy is now kicking on all cylinders. We have record low unemployment. We've hosted some amazing events, from 2 World Series, I think, since we were last elected, to the America's Cup. We're going to have the Super Bowl next year. Our neighborhood vitality has never been stronger. We certainly have our challenges as well, from the affordability crisis that we all know about and feel, and we work so hard on here inside of City Hall. But the last 4 years overall, I think, have been an amazing 4 years. And there are a number of things that I am particularly proud of. Inside of District 2, we have CPMC being rebuilt. We have Doyle Drive turning into the Presidio Parkway, is going to reopen in a number of months. Van Ness BRT is going to break ground this year. Laurel Heights campus of UCSF is going to be completely rebuilt, and so looking forward to working with those developers. There are some major things happening in the district that I think we should all be very proud of and excited about. But as a city, because we are elected to represent our districts in the city, you know, from my perspective, the last 4 years, the highlights include really putting our city on sound financial footing. Mayor Lee touched upon that earlier. We went from, when we got into office the year before, the budget deficit was over $500 million. We go into budget season this year in low double digits. I believe it was $16 million. That is something that's amazing. We are the only city in the United States that has passed pension reform and retiree health care reform at the ballot. The only city in the United States. And it's something to be very proud of, because it's not about us, it's about the next generation. It's about our kids. Parks and open space, we've dedicated more funding. As my colleagues all know, to me, the one thing that I am the most proud of that we did in the first 4 years is the Francisco Reservoir. And we are converting 4.5 acres of concrete and chain link fence into a brand new park in the middle of Russian Hill in District 2. In terms of homelessness, we have a renewed focus on that here in City Hall, and I appreciate Mayor Lee's partnership on that topic. Last year we passed Laura's Law and a number of other legislative ideas, but this is just the beginning. This is an issue that affects all of us as San Franciscans. These are human beings sleeping on our streets at night, and we all need to make that a priority. And public safety, is such an issue that affects all of us in our neighborhoods, every single district. We've maxed out our police academy classes. We've created down payment programs for all of our first responders to live inside of our neighborhoods, something we can all be super proud of and that we all will continue to prioritize here inside of City Hall. And lastly, and something that's very personal, is focusing on families once again. We have the record low percentage of people in our city that are family members and children. And that has to change, and it's slowly changing. But we need to focus on the issues that matter, whether it's opening up our schoolyards again, where I played with my dad when I was growing up, or doing other things, creating events in our neighborhoods that are family friendly. To me, this has to be a continued priority for all of us inside of City Hall, for the entire city of San Francisco. But really what I want to do today is really to say thank you. I told Supervisor Kim I would try not to crack up today, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. To me, being in this chair, standing amongst my colleagues, we are all here because of other people and the great work and the great generosity and support of other people around us. And I just want to take a moment to recognize those. First of all, to my family that are here, my amazing wife, Liz, who most of you know right now. Being married with 3 kids is tough. It's tough in San Francisco, and it's certainly tough being on the Board of Supervisors doing it. And I wouldn't be able to do it without the best partner in the world. And Liz, you've been amazing. I thank you for your years of support in this job. And it's been an amazing, we've been married now over 10 years. We have 3 beautiful children, and it's an amazing life, and I thank you so much for all of your support and love. To my children, Madison and Jack. 4 years ago, you guys were over there. I don't think you remember it. Thanks. I'll get the tissues. But, among other things, I am blessed with the best children in the world. Our little 2-year-old dude, Kane, had to go home for his nap. He would have been a terror during this whole process. But we love him just the same. And Madison, Jack, you're our whole world. We love you so much. Daddy loves you a ton. thanks for skipping school today to be here and to share this moment. But Mom and Daddy love you so much, and you're amazing. We are so proud of you. To my parents, my mom and dad who are here, again, 4 years later, Supervisor Cohen is one of 5. I'm an only child, and so I grew up and continue to be so lucky to be so close to my parents. I have the most amazing parents in the world. And they are such close friends. They're such amazing grandparents to our children. And that is ultimately what matters most in life. And I love you to death. I'm so proud of both of you, and thank you for everything you've given me and all the support you continue to give us as a family. 4 years ago, I think the reason I won the election was because my dad sat in front of the Marina Safeway and wouldn't let anyone shop for their groceries unless they committed to vote for his son. I have people coming up to me literally a few weeks ago telling those stories. But it's the type of people my parents are. It's unconditional love and support, and I'm so blessed. To my in-laws, to Jim and KGB who are here, thank you for everything for our family that you provide, for your friendship for me. The last few weeks have been rough on for a lot of reasons for us, but we're all here together, and I'm so thankful for that. So thank you for coming and being here today. To my brother-in-laws and sister-in-laws, I am an only kid, but my wife is one of 4 girls. They all are all amazing sister-in-laws. They are married to 3 other amazing brother-in-laws. I know Aaron, Eileen, and John are here. Thank you guys for all your support and love. It's life wouldn't be possible without it, and I love you guys so much. And to all my other friends, in particular, Kami, who's here, when you grow up as an only kid, you form stronger friendships with other folks. Someone who was really my brother growing up, lived in the same house growing up, Kami, who moved back here to San Francisco, is here. Thank you, Kami, for being here, for everything you do. I want to thank the residents of District 2, the other friends I grew up with, friends I went to school with, other parents that I'm now sending our kids to school with, on the political side to the neighborhood merchant leaders, and every other person inside of District 2. Thank you for your support the last 4 years. Thank you for your support in the election in November. It's an amazing place to represent, especially as someone who grew up inside of District 2. And I value all of those friendships. And it is so fun to represent the neighborhoods I grew up in and share memories of. And when you go on the campaign trail, you do house parties, you go around. Supervisor Cohen talked about the precinct walks and everything we do in our neighborhoods. And I think Supervisor Cohen, Supervisor Yee, I'm trying to think now, Supervisor Tang, Supervisor Breed, ones that are born and raised here as well. We're lucky enough, and some of us, to represent the neighborhoods we grew up in. We have memories growing up and throwing football as a kid in these neighborhoods and doing things like that. It's an amazing privilege to do what we do to represent these neighborhoods now inside of City Hall. I want to thank my staff. I know I'm biased, but I think I have the best 3 aides in the city. And Margot, we've been together since the beginning of our first campaign for years, and is such an amazing part of our family, really. To Catherine, who does such an amazing job, an amazing working mother, has 2 small children of her own in our neighborhoods. And to Jess, who's been such an amazing part of our team the last few years and really kicked us all into gear. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be interested in doing this without you guys, so thank you. To the campaign team as well, to Maggie and Mo, to Tyler, to David, thank you for all of your support during the process. This campaign was different than the last one around, but I thank you nonetheless, and we still put in the work we needed to do. And I do want to thank, even though definitely or almost every single one of them is left, except for a few, to all of our city family. I could probably spend time counting them out right now. But this job is not possible without the strong relationships with our department heads and every other person that staffs them underneath. So to everybody inside of City Hall that we work together with, thank you for your friendship and our working relationships. It means the world. We don't work together. Stuff doesn't get done without you, so I can't tell you how much I value that. Thank you for all of that. And really, to my colleagues, last and certainly not least, it has been a privilege to get to know each and every one of you the last 4 years, to work together with you. And the thing that excites me and I value, these are friendships that will last a lifetime, but I think we've done a really great job the last 4 years. And I think I really am excited about what we're going to accomplish these next 2 years and beyond. And I want to thank you for your collegiality, for working together, for forming these relationships. It matters the world to me. People always ask what it's like to be on the Board of Supervisors and to represent District 2. To me, above all else, I simply say it's an honor to do what I do. Again, it's a neighborhood where I grew up in, where my parents live in the same house I grew up in, and where Liz and I are now living with Jack, Madison, and Kane. It is always, has been, and always will be home. So I want to thank everybody for being here today. I want to thank the voters of District 2. It has been a great first term. I think the best is yet to come, and I really look forward to working with each and every one of you for the next 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Farrell. Now I'd like to acknowledge the supervisor from District 8, Supervisor Scott Wiener.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam President. I missed sitting next to you already, so but you look great up there. Supervisor Christensen, I want to also welcome you to the board. I'm very, very excited to have you as a colleague and really look forward to working together. I think you're going to be a rock star, so congratulations. I want to just start by making a few thank yous. First and foremost to the voters and to the residents of District 8 for once again having the confidence in me to send me to City Hall to represent this amazing community. District 8 is a diverse district politically, an engaged district, and a district that's been to hell and back through the HIV/AIDS epidemic, and it is a very strong community, and I'm deeply, deeply honored to be able to represent the neighborhoods and residents of District 8. We've accomplished a lot in the last 4 years. We have been able to get a lot of work done by revolutionizing Castro Street and working in Dolores Park and Glen Canyon and so many other projects in the district. We've worked to increase affordable housing, to improve transportation, to make sure that we don't cut funding for HIV services and other health services. We have a lot of work to do ahead of us, and I look forward to that work in collaboration with this amazing community. I also want to thank my amazing legislative aides. And sometimes people say, "Wow, you do great work," and I always say to people, it's you plural, because no elected official succeeds without amazing staff. And I have been so incredibly lucky to have smart, committed, dedicated staff who are just they're just stellar. And so Andres Power, who I know a lot of people have worked with, who's just done such a great job for me. Jeff Cretin, who is on paternity leave now. He's at home with his 3-day-old daughter. So Jeff, if you're watching, I hope you're getting a little bit of sleep. Adam Taylor, who actually has been with me from the very, very beginning, going back to 2009 when we didn't even have a real campaign together, and he was helping me out, has been with me every step of the way. And Gary McCoy, who is filling in for Jeff while he's on paternity leave and was also my campaign manager. I want to thank my campaign team, Maggie Muir and Maureen Irwin and David Latterman and Matthew Rothschild and Gary and all the volunteers and everyone who made this possible. If you look at the vote totals, District 8 has more votes than any other district. It is a hard district to campaign in because there are so many people who vote 100% of the time, and so you have to have it together, and we had just an amazing campaign team. And finally, I want to thank my family who's here, and thank you, Supervisor Breed, for calling me out of order. Since I have a W name, I'm always last. And I have two young nephews who I think are maybe close to nap time. But I want to just really acknowledge and thank my family, my parents, Richard and Elaine, and they all came from the East Coast for this, as they did 4 years ago. My mom and dad, who, and I know I said this before, and I'll say it again, that you taught me everything that I needed to know to succeed, and that is to be honest, to have integrity, to treat everyone with respect all the time, no matter what. And you did that, and you taught me not by a lesson or with a lecture, but by the way that you lead your own lives. And you've always done it with such incredible integrity and humility, and I learned from you. I love you. To my Aunt Leah, who I think I mentioned a few years ago, was out of the closet in the 60s when it was still a mental illness to be LGBT, at least according to the American Psychiatric Association. An incredible role model and mentor to me. To my amazing kid sister, Melissa, who's unlike her brother, has actually, in addition to having a great career as a physician and HIV specialist, has a wonderful husband who's not here, and my two beautiful nephews, Adam and Noah. So thank you also for taking off school today to be here. Colleagues, we are in an exciting and unique time in San Francisco. We have record low unemployment, as Supervisor Farrell mentioned, incredible job creation, infrastructure work in this city that's unprecedented, our libraries and our parks and our streets and our sewers, infrastructure work that we've never seen before in this city. Innovation in so many forms around technology and biotechnology and healthcare and food and drink and nightlife. I've lived in this city for over 20 years, and I can't recall a time when we have had so many young people in this city, everywhere, young people who are the next generation to make this city great. And that is our tradition in San Francisco, having young people come here to make lives for themselves. We have more children now in San Francisco than we've had for a long time, and our public schools are finally growing in terms of their enrollment. There is incredible energy and enthusiasm in San Francisco right now, and it is a great time for this city. And these exciting times and this growth, of course, bring a lot of challenges, and I know we have a tendency to really, as we should, to focus on those challenges because they are very, very real challenges. We have so many challenges around housing and housing affordability, and the fact that there are not just people being evicted, but so many people who are living in this city now who are living in absolute terror that if they lose their apartment, they're going to have to leave this city. We have challenges around transportation, just the congestion and the crowding on Muni and on our streets, and that our systems really aren't equipped to deal with the growth that we've had in this city. We don't have enough police officers, and we're working really hard to fix that. We have a lot of challenges, but in focusing on those challenges, let's not forget how many amazing things are happening in this city and what a unique time it is in San Francisco. This is the best city in the world. There's a reason why so many people want to be here, and let's not ever forget that. The city's changing. Cities change. San Francisco has always changed. And what's made this city great is that we've never tried to put down the gates and say, nobody new can come here, or we don't want any change, or let's freeze frame things exactly the way they are today. That's not the San Francisco way. This city has always accepted change, and that change has always made the city better, and the city has always made the newcomers better. It has always been a two-way street where everyone becomes better and stronger and more diverse as a result. And that is what is going to happen today with all the change and the challenges that we have. This city is going to come out stronger and more resilient for it. This is a city that knows how to get things done. I have never seen a group of residents that are more creative and smarter and more passionate about where they live. And I know that whatever challenges we have, we're going to face them, we're going to overcome them, and this city will continue to be the very best place in the world. And so, colleagues, I look forward to working with you over the coming years. I look forward to working with residents, not just in District 8, but from around the city to make sure that we are continuing to move in an incredible direction. Congratulations, everyone.
Thank you, Supervisor Wiener. Now I'd like to recognize the supervisor from District 6, Supervisor Jane Kim.
Thank you, President Breed. Midway through my first term, my legislative team and I decided to invest in a facilitator to help us out and support us in our annual retreat. And she started off our retreat asking us a simple question. She asked, if we are successful by 2018, what would we have played a leadership role in accomplishing the following? And like water, responses came up on the whiteboard. 1, stronger neighborhood leaders and community-based organizations empowered and accountable to our communities. 2, neighborhood leaders in the South of Market, the Tenderloin, Treasure Island, that know each other and have a role and decision-making power in their neighborhoods. 3, at least 2 to 3 more parks and increased open space. Fewer deaths by cars, pedestrians and cyclists are safer in San Francisco and in our district. More affordable housing, with at least 30% of our residents living in affordable, protected housing. More healthy corner stores and grocery stores. Less poverty and access to jobs in the companies that move into our district. More shelter beds and expanded medical respite shelter. Our residents have greater access to physical and mental health well-being, a decrease in homicide and shootings, and commercial occupancy rate that is up with the majority comprised of small business owners, artists, and nonprofit organizations. Ultimately, when we were asked to articulate our vision for the district in 8 years, we realized that we wanted to be a part of making the district healthier, safer, and stronger than when we began. Our work has focused on that exactly over the last 4 years. My first day on the Board of Supervisors, I opened with a hearing on pedestrian safety. Since then, we have successfully created a District 6 Pedestrian Safety Advisory Group, of which actually many members of this audience sits on, which over the last 4 years encompasses the wide spectrum of our district. We have single-room occupancy hotel organizers from 6th Street and Tenderloin, members from our Latino and Filipino family communities, homeowners from South Beach and Rincon Hill that sit and participate and meet monthly to talk about how we can make our district safer. We're able to finally two-way Eddy and Ellis Street in the Tenderloin. We're able to protect and secure millions of dollars for the 2nd Street redesign and the Little Saigon Tenderloin project, a crosswalk on Russ and Folsom with many more to come, and the 2 very first pedestrian and bike safety projects in the city of San Francisco, our bulb outs on 6th Street and the bike lane on Folsom. We kick-started the design and environmental study for redesigning 6th Street, the #1 and #3 intersection in the city for pedestrian and vehicle collisions, as well as Howard and Folsom Street to become the neighborhood corridors for the South of Market. We still have much more work to do and appreciate the commitment from SFMTA, SFPD, and the Board of Supervisors to Vision Zero, which we introduced last year with Supervisor Avalos and Yee. 0 traffic deaths in 10 years, and 24 more safety pilots throughout the city, just like the ones that you see on 6th Street and Folsom Street. My colleagues get tired maybe of hearing this from me, but District 6 also has the fewest and smallest parks of any district in San Francisco. So whether it is fighting for the final rounds of funding for Bodecker Park, which finally opened in December and is a beautiful oasis, a multi-use park in the Tenderloin, securing $3 million for our failing playgrounds in South Park and in the Tenderloin, to opening the most creative open spaces throughout the city, such as the Dog and Skate Park under the 101 Freeway in the McCoppin Hub, or kicking off our D6 Open Space Acquisition Committee to identify more potential sites for open space. We know that open space is vital to the health and wellness and strength of our district, but we also know it's not enough to just open more open space. We also have to make sure that our residents feel safe using them and that we activate them, which is why we were excited to finally kick off this year movie nights at Victoria Manalo Dre's Park, which we opened in 2006. Housing. We know that balanced housing production, building for residents of all of our income brackets here in San Francisco, is essential to our success as a city. And we acknowledge that the vast majority of this production is happening in the district that I represent. It is my role to fight for more affordable housing in each development and area plan and to secure funding for affordable housing. And I look forward to working with this board and the mayor's office in making that a reality. In the past few years, we welcomed the opening of new affordable housing throughout the district, whether it's the Richardson Apartment and Renee Casaneva, actually now in Supervisor Breed's district and also in Rincon Hill, 60 units of affordable housing on 474 Natoma, and soon the groundbreaking of affordable family housing on 6th and Howard, known affectionately as the defenestration building, or the building where the furniture is falling out of the windows. I have also been successful in supporting the rehab of former vacant sites, such as 5th and Harrison, which now houses 44 units for formerly homeless young people. We have much more work to do to ensure the production of housing means housing for everyone, and we look forward to the introduction of legislation and funding that will make that a reality. A piece of housing, of course, is the ever-present issue of homelessness in San Francisco. Many of my residents live on the streets, and as a public servant, I am accountable to everyone. Whether you live in a penthouse or you live on our streets, I'm accountable to you and treating you with dignity and respect. No one wants to see our brothers and sisters living on the street. And through the data that we have asked Department of Public Health to collect, we realize that actually many of them are also our grandmothers and grandfathers, and I saw them certainly when I spent a night in our shelter. Our homeless population is not per se growing, but it is certainly aging in place. Housing is a part of that answer, but we must also address the health and physical and mental well-being of our residents. I've been working to enhance our shelter services, restore staffing and services that have been cut during the recession, which I think we have finally brought back up, but also increasing the number of beds that we provide. There are roughly 1,600 beds for the 6,000 men and women and children that live on our streets, and we have to provide them essential health services. I have fought for nurses to actually reside in our shelters at night and supported a funding for a yoga program at Next Door Shelter. Now I'm working with DPH to expand our medical respite shelter and bring higher qualified staff training for those that need it. We cannot treat homelessness as we have for the past several decades. Our shelter system was built for those that are young adults in their 20s and 30s. They're simply out of a job and need a couple of weeks or month to get back on the feet. That is not what our data is showing in who is homeless. The majority of our population is now over 40 and chronically homeless with physical disabilities and other mental health issues that we have to address. And we must reform our shelter and housing system. I will continue to be an advocate for our public schools as well, stemming from my days on the Board of Education with actually many of my colleagues here in this room. Whether it's supporting city funding to support our high school students who are not on track to graduate, or increasing funding for arts teachers, PE, and sports and libraries, and restorative justice programs, the city can and should do more to fund our public schools. We must make up for where Sacramento has failed. We are 49th in the country in per pupil funding, and that is not the place that we want the state to be in. But we can do something about that here in San Francisco. And I was proud to work on the reauthorization of the Children's Fund and the Public Education Enrichment Fund so that we're able to do things like extending the school days, like having smaller classrooms, and funding after school for all. Our city must also continue to support our growing job industry and growth in this region, which have provided additional revenue for our city, our infrastructure, and our services. But we also have to make sure that these jobs are accessible to all. So whether it is passing the Fair Chance Act that is removing barriers to those with a conviction and arrest history, or setting the highest minimum wage and most progressive minimum wage program in the country to close the income gap, or ensuring access to health benefits. I'm accountable to making sure that we are not just creating jobs, but we are creating jobs with meaningful wages, benefits, and taking down barriers to employment. Finally, I know that I will not be supervisor forever, as many of us do in this room. Thank you. We know that supporting the capacity of our community-based organizations and our neighborhood leaders that serve and organize our residents will far outlast the work of anything that my office is able to do. Strong leadership and capacity building in Yerba Buena brought us bike racks and benches, public art displays. Strong leadership and capacity building in the Tenderloin brought us safe passages, where our residents volunteer after school to make sure that our kids walk safely through the neighborhood, or take away parking from one of the most problematic blocks in the neighborhood. Capacity building and neighborhood leadership in the South of Market has brought us more crosswalks, the 6th Street substation, crossing guards in front of Bessie Carmichael Elementary School, increased walking time on King Street and on Treasure Island, and on Treasure Island, more accountability from the Navy, highlighting health needs on the island. So thank you to the residents of District 6, first and foremost, for giving me another 4 years. It is an honor to serve and to lead. I hope that I have shown you my willingness to dig into the trenches and work hard, attend all of our meetings and be visible in the neighborhood, respond, but also never shy away from a hard vote. I'm privileged to say that this is one of the most difficult challenges that I have taken on, running for office and serving as an elected leader to serve and lead, and build a greater relationship of trust and belief in local government to invest back your dollars, your advocacy and volunteer hours back into the community. But most of all, I can say that my heart has really grown in this job. More than I have given, I have gotten so much more love back from the city and in this neighborhood. Now, I think often the yawn section is the thank yous. And so first, I want to thank and acknowledge my family. My father is here today to represent my mom and my brother and my aunts, uncles, grandparents, and my cousins. I'm so grateful, most of all in my life, for the family that I was born into. My family has taught me what fierce loyalty means, and also what it means to be proud of your heritage and identity. And I know that the strength that I carry in the job that I have today has so much to do with my family, but most importantly, my parents. I also want to thank my family here in San Francisco, and that includes my fabulous campaign team, Davi Long and Charles Sanchez. Thank you for leading the organizing work to bring our constituents together in District 6. Supervisor Cohen said it, but running for re-election is this opportunity to re-engage with our district on a really intimate way through door knocking and standing on street corners. We try to do this as much as possible throughout office, but there's never a time period that you can do that with more intensity. It is such a tough job to run a campaign, and Davi and Charles did it with such dignity and grace. It is great to have two young people who are going to continue to lead and serve for our city. Davi is actually a born and raised Mission Bay resident before the neighborhood of Mission Bay even existed on one of the houseboats, and Charles is someone that has served on both of my campaigns before that being an advocate for our dreamers throughout the country. So thank you so much for your work. I also want to recognize my 2010 and 2014 campaign team, Enrique Pierce, Left Coast Communication, Jen Lowe, and Danny Yadigar. I also want to thank an individual who started out as my colleague, became my best friend here in office, and now my partner, Matias Mormino. And finally, my current legislative team, April, Sunny, and Ivy. I can't see you, but what I will say is that it is so amazing to work with this amazing all-female team. Everyone says that they have the best office. I, of course, believe the same thing. But I don't think any supervisor can say that they have known their team longer than I have. I think collectively I've known these ladies for over 35 years. I first met April when I started out at my first job at the Green Lining Institute, working to advocate for our low-income communities of color here in the state of California. I soon thereafter met Ivy Lee, who was at Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights and then moved to Asian Law Caucus. And then several years later met Sunny Angulo on the campaign trail as she ran one of my best friends' campaign. And they have seen me at my worst. And they've also seen me through my best. And I often say that I work this team hard, but in reality, this team works so hard on their own. I talk about this a lot. I have a bias against people, for people that are super intelligent and also super loving, to work with a team that truly cares so deeply about the vision that we have for our district and the city, and to have a team that is so creative and smart. I feel very lucky to walk into the office and see you three every day. So thank you. I often forget to thank them because they write my talking points and they don't write their names on it. So thank you for working with me. And yes, we are so proud of our work, whether it is legislation like the Safe San Francisco Ordinance, minimum wage, housing balance, and more. But I am most proud of the fact that when I walk into a neighborhood meeting or event, you can feel the love that our team has for our neighborhood and vice versa. It's not just a job. We are building for a vision of the city, and at the base of that, more than any legislation that we can pass, is being able to demonstrate compassion and knowing from our constituents that this is true. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Kim. I now would like to acknowledge the supervisor from District 4, Supervisor Katie Tang.
Thank you very much, and congratulations, President Breed. I am deciding whether to keep your seat or not. I think on the one hand, it'd be great because people tend to confuse Supervisor Kim and I, so maybe they'll either they'll be more confused or they'll see the differences. And so I again, even though my term was very short, having been the first Asian American woman board president here and now passing on the torch to someone who's our first African American woman board president is an incredible honor and just a testament to San Francisco and how diverse we are in this board. And of course, I want to start off by welcoming our new District 3 Supervisor, Supervisor Christensen. I want to start off by welcoming her because I know exactly how you feel. This is my third inauguration, second election in 2 years. So I did not write a full speech, so since I'm the last one, I'm sure you're all grateful. But I just want to welcome you. I know it's incredibly frightening to have your life change before your eyes, but I saw my predecessor go through that same thing, our current assessor, Carmen Chu, in her former role as District 4 Supervisor, but also now as an assessor recorder. And I know that you're going to do great in your role, and I look forward to working with you. So today, I really just want to dedicate my remarks, obviously to my family and all of my loved ones, but definitely to my office. Deanna Keyson, Ashley Summers, and Ray Law sitting over there. I have a lot of ideas, but I need people to help me carry them through. And they have never, ever complained about any ideas, at least not to my face. The only thing I've ever heard was, stop coming up with so many ideas. And together, they just are incredible. They don't get caught up in the political drama. They care so much about the Sunset District and what they do in city government and take pride in that. And so I'm very lucky to be able to work with them. So thank you so much. Some of the ideas, for example, that I came up with and made them go through with me, I wanted to come up with a strategic plan for the Sunset District, the first ever that's ever been done for our neighborhood. And I didn't want to hire consultants, and so they had to write it with me. So together we wrote an entire book, basically, and listing out what our short, medium, long-term goals are for the neighborhood and what we see, for the next generation of people who want to live in the Sunset District. What place does the Sunset District have in the rest of the city? And also in the context of all the different people who have so many different concerns, where do their concerns fit in with the rest of our collective goals for the Sunset? So again, they had to take that on and write that whole thing with me. We have done so much together. We have hosted our first ever mobile job fair, placing a lot of importance on our youth, making sure that we connect them with job opportunities. And so this was the first time we did it this summer. We connected youth with some of our local small businesses. We hope to continue that again and hope that it will spread throughout the entire city. We heard a lot of complaints about people paving over the front yard, so we started a new program. Rather than punishing people for bad behavior, we tried to create incentives. And so we established the first ever in the city front yard ambassador program, where we actually provide you with volunteers, expertise, you get to spend very little for what we do in terms of breaking up your concrete and installing landscaping. And together we have diverted so many thousands of gallons of water from our collective sewer system, our combined sewer system in the city. And so very proud of that. We have try to find different ways to connect with our residents. I launched a new thing called the Discover Your District, and basically instead of having coffee hours, I've invited all of our residents to come join me on different ventures throughout our district so that they can learn about new businesses and what our district has to offer, but also get to meet new residents. So together we've made pumpkin pie, we have done art projects, we have learned about bike safety, we have seen little girls dance to the Frozen song. We have done so much together and really want to continue that each month throughout the years, because I think it's just such a wonderful way to connect and bridge our community together. And of course, I'm very proud of some of the citywide work that we've been able to venture on that's really important. This November, for example, we just collectively, unanimously through this whole board, worked together very hard to pass a bond measure to provide critical funding, $500 million general obligation bond for our muni services and infrastructure. And I think that's really important. As we all know, some of our West Side supervisors, it's very difficult. Public transportation is very difficult for many of our residents, and so to be able to do that, I was very proud of that effort. Also, Ocean Beach. Our district borders Ocean Beach, and so although it's technically not my district, it is really important for the generations to come that we make sure that it's sustainable, that people, again, 20, 50, 100 years down the road get to enjoy Ocean Beach, and that it is something that we can, as a city as a whole, be proud of. And of course, I've been working on some issues through legislation, such as trying to address some of our human trafficking issues, and how do we do that at a local level, even though it is such a difficult global issue. And last but not least, we're very excited about some of our efforts in terms of language access. As you can see, again, we have a very diverse board, reflecting a very diverse city. And so making sure that all of us get to access our city services in the various languages is incredibly important to me. So I look forward to building upon some of that work, both locally and citywide as well. And again, want to thank so much my office for being partners with me in this effort. And so I do want to close by, first of all, I do want to thank the mayor. He was the one who gave me the opportunity to serve in this capacity in the first place 2 years ago, even though I was very scared to take this on, but I had so many mentors and people who believed in me and who continue to support me today. That gives me the confidence to be able to continue in my first 4-year term. I do want to also thank, of course, my predecessor again, Assessor Recorder Carmen Chu, former District 4 supervisor. Working with her for almost 6 years, she became my big sister, and I just learned so much from her about what it means to be genuine about your work, to have so much integrity, to be completely honest. She is so fiercely smart, and I just, again, hope I live up to all that she was able to do for our Sunset District. To my campaign team, I want to thank, of course, I don't know if they're still here, but Marjan Filhauer, my fundraiser, and her team. She she had a baby during my first election, and I couldn't even tell. I mean, she was just responding to me around the clock, just one of the hardest workers I've ever met, along with her team. Of course, Maggie Muir and Maureen Irwin, my campaign managers for both years. My compliance team, Kevin Hennigan, Patricia Marr, and Megan Kratt, thank you so much. I don't know if you're watching on TV. Of course, we have in our presence Fiona Ma, who was also a former District 4 supervisor. Thank you so much. Again, I had some really wonderful ladies to look up to who have served in this capacity. Again, want to send my thanks to all the department heads. I know you're back at work, but thank you very much. And of course, all of my friends, my childhood friends, my school friends who were able to make it out here today or who support me throughout my life. It really means so much to me. Sometimes they make fun of me and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're spending time with me or hanging out. And I think, of course, you are what makes me normal and make me feel normal, and I would never give up any of my friendships. Of course, I want to thank my interns. All the interns, we cannot do our work without all of you. They're incredible. And just to remind you, I started off as an intern, never imagining that I would be here right now in this position. So watch out, you never know. To, of course, my parents and my family and my best friends sitting here in the second row here, my mom and dad, my cousin Teresa, who I grew up with and was like my sister, her husband Stephen, my partner Justin. And I would just say that I mentioned this before, but it's really difficult, our jobs, but it's even harder for our partners to have to tell them every Tuesday, I'm not sure what time I'm going to come home. I'm not sure if I'm going to join you for dinner. So thank you so much, Justin, for everything you've done. His parents, who are also here, thank you so much. They cook dinner for me sometimes. They know I'm so busy. They have just been incredible support, so I really want to thank them so much. And so, again, I want to congratulate all of the newly re-elected supervisors, our new supervisor, Supervisor Christensen, congratulate President Breed, and look forward to serving in this capacity and making San Francisco even better than it is today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Supervisor Tang. And now I'd like to acknowledge our new colleague, Supervisor Julie Christensen, representing District 3.
President Breed, thank you. My colleagues, thank you for your warm welcome. I'm grateful also to the City Hall staff and the mayor's staff, to Angela and Peggy and Nicole and all the people that have taken me through the food processor of the last couple of days. For 20 years, I've been standing on that side of this rail, limiting my comments to 3 minutes or less. I'm going to try to stick with that for as long as I can as a supervisor. It's actually this rail that's most on my mind today. I've been on that side since the mid-90s, asking the people on this side to support what I wanted to do and to give help to the people of District 3. Now I'm on this side, and people will be asking my help, and I take that responsibility very seriously. It's also important, I think, the other people that have joined us on this side of that rail. They're not just here because it's extra space for chairs. These are the people that enable all of us to do what we do. And probably it's the other people sitting on this side that know what this means to my husband, to my sister, to my colleagues in adventure in the neighborhood, to my dear friends, because you can't do this without that kind of support. I'm also grateful to the constituents of District 3 who have goaded me on in this and have provided such support. I thought everybody was silly for crying, but now I see how this works. The momentousness has just landed on my shoulders. There's a lot of speculation about who I am. In the world that I've lived in for the past 20 years in neighborhood advocacy, political labels don't mean much. People are judged by their goals and about their success in achieving those goals. And those are the labels that I've been proud to amass in working for the people of District 3 in a volunteer capacity. I have worked primarily on mitigations. I've worked on public realm issues, on libraries, on parks, on street safety, on transportation, things that make it possible for the people in District 3 to live in the cozy, crowded way that they do. Now that I'm on this side of the rail, my responsibilities are much broader, my obligations more numerous. I understand that in our district, we have a lot of vulnerable people who fight to stay there, that the best thing about our district is its density and its diversity, and that in order for it to remain this way, we have to protect the people that live in that neighborhood. And allowing people to remain in their homes, unthreatened by speculative evictions, allowing rents to be managed in such a way that people can be confident that they can remain in the neighborhoods they love. This is very important to the people of my district, and I understand that that is job one. That's clear to me. I have worked with the most vulnerable, with the families and the seniors who use our parks and libraries, who use our public spaces, and I know that they need some comfort and some reassurance in their life. I'm on it. I know we need to improve transit in District 3 so that not only can we live there, but we can actually come and go. I think goals like this are actually shared by all of us. I don't think anyone in City Hall wants to see seniors evicted from their homes or see, especially our lower class and even our middle class neighbors, have to move out of the city. I work with a lot of city workers in my volunteer capacity, and I see them struggle to remain in the city that they serve. And so middle income housing is very important to me. Yeah, it's true. And but I think Mayor Lee chose me, and I'm very, very honored for the faith that he's put in me. I think he chose me not so much for what I think, but for how I think. With Mayor Lee, investigation, consideration, communication, cooperation are not cliches, they're a way of life. It's the way I try to live my life and the kind of supervisor that I will try to be. I also am grateful to Mayor Lee and to my now colleagues on this board for the air of civility and maturity that they have brought to City Hall, and also to the air of accomplishment. Because I think when we are polarized, as we've seen in Washington, as we've seen on our local level, when the powers that be start rutting, the people lose, things don't get accomplished. And I think the cooperation that this board has shown is a model for all of us, and I look forward to being part of the solution and an eliminator of the problems. People have asked me a lot in the last 24 hours about how I feel about issues that are behind us, votes that were taken, stands that were taken. I've gotten a lot of questions about what I think is going to happen next November. I can assure you that right now I am focused on what's in between those things, not what's happened in the past, not what's going to happen in several months, but on what I can do next week and the week after and the month after that to earn the trust that's been placed in me by the mayor and by the people of my district. District 3 voters are smart. They're engaged, they're vocal, they know their neighborhoods, they're concerned about them. They know the difference between power plays and the power of ideas, and they know the difference between rhetoric and results. I'm for results. People know me, I set goals, I achieve them, even when, and maybe especially when, they're difficult. So thank you for your warm welcome, and I look forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you, Supervisor Christensen, and welcome to the Board of Supervisors. Now I'd like to acknowledge our continuing supervisors, beginning with Supervisor Avalos from District 11.
I don't have to put my name on the roster. I've been called to speak. I'll be very brief. I just want to say welcome to Julie Christensen. Welcome to the Board of Supervisors. And I am very excited about what you've already done and your energy you bring here as well. and I look forward to working with you. To all of my colleagues who just recently got reelected, congratulations on your reelection. And again, I also have had great experience working with all of you and look forward to continuing that effort as well. This year, I really want to be focused on how we can work together to deal with our affordability crisis in the city. I think a plan needs to be put in place, and we need all of our offices to work as much together to deal with this as much as we can. I've seen San Francisco change before my eyes over the past 3 or 4 years. And yes, we do have a lot of young people in San Francisco. We've also lost a lot of young people in San Francisco as well. And I want to see how we can make sure that the widening disparities in wealth that we're seeing can be closed, and that we can share what we actually are able to generate in wealth with as many people as possible, and that we can actually help people to maintain their wealth as much as we can as well. Often in District 11 and District 10, District 4, and the southern part of San Francisco, a lot of the wealth that working families and middle-class families have are in our homes, and I don't think we've taken on the issue of how to help people deal with distressed mortgages, even in today's climate right now of the real estate boom, where there are still people who are struggling that we need to look at. So it's also building middle-income housing, but it's also supporting middle-class people to maintain their housing as well. We've made great work together on advancing worker rights in this city. The passage of the minimum wage law last year that Supervisor Kim helped to lead with the mayor and community groups around the city is something that has been unprecedented across the country. People actually overlook San Francisco for what we've done. It's that type of work that we need to continue to do to make sure that we are making San Francisco an easier place to live. I look forward to working with all of you in this effort in the year to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Supervisor Avalos. Now I'd like to acknowledge the supervisor from District 9, Supervisor David Campos.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. And again, congratulations on your election. And I also want to thank Supervisor Tang, who I think just stepped out. Thank her for the leadership and the guidance that she has provided this board in the last few weeks. It is greatly appreciated. Swearing ins are pretty exciting, and I just want to congratulate all of my colleagues from districts 2, 4, 6, 10, all of their families who are here and the loved ones. I think that being a member of the Board of Supervisors is the most amazing job in the world, and it's a crazy job in many respects as well, but it's truly an honor to be in these positions. So congratulations. I also want to congratulate newly appointed Supervisor Christensen. Welcome to the Board of Supervisors. We look forward to working with you. And again, Madam President, to you, I know that every member of this board is committed to working with you to make sure that we move forward the agenda of the city and county of San Francisco. San Francisco is truly the greatest city in the world. It is a very special place. And all of the positive and good things that have been said about San Francisco and where we are today are very true. But it is also because I love the city so much that I think it's important for us to provide some context for where we are right now. Yes, we have a great deal of job creation. We have more wealth that we have seen in San Francisco in who knows how long. But even the San Francisco Chronicle, not necessarily a paragon of forward or progressive thinking, pointed out not too long ago that San Francisco has inequality that parallels the inequality of Central America, of Africa. If we were an independent country and our inequality was tracked by the United Nations, would be right up there with Rwanda in terms of the level of inequality between the haves and have-nots in this country. And so that wealth and prosperity that we're talking about is not a wealth and prosperity that is actually flowing down to most San Franciscans. Right now, the city only has about 4% African-American population. And in places like Chinatown, District 3, which has seen a great deal of prosperity, in Chinatown, unemployment is higher than it is in other parts in the city as a whole. So we do have an issue. And I think that the rosy picture that has been painted is, in many respects, true, but it's only a partial picture. And so it is important for us to recognize that unless we change course and something different be done, that we will find ourselves in a situation where San Francisco will no longer have not a lower class, but a middle class. That's where we are today. And I think that part of the challenge is that a great deal of what's happened in San Francisco, and specifically in this building, in my view, respectfully, has left out the voice of most working middle-income, low-income San Franciscans. They may not have the ability to pay a lobbyist to come here and speak for them, and their voices are being left out. It is for those San Franciscans that this city is becoming less affordable. You know, I was, as the meeting was proceeding, I got a text from my husband who gave me the good news that our heater had been fixed. And try living without heat in San Francisco in this weather for the last few days. But the fact is that we're lucky that we have a roof over our head. And there are so many people that don't have, in this city of St. Francis, a place to sleep. And can you imagine surviving on the streets of San Francisco when we know it's cold in this chamber, let alone how it is outside? We have a great deal of work to do. And I think that we as a board have a responsibility to make sure that when we talk about prosperity, that we talk about a prosperity that includes all of us, not a prosperity that is leaving the vast majority of people behind. That is the prosperity that we have in San Francisco today. I will end with a great deal of gratitude to my staff, because I think that they deserve the credit for all the amazing work that we have done. And I know that for us, this next year will be committed, as we have been committed for the last few years, to addressing this inequality, to addressing this gap between the haves and the have-nots. And I know that we will continue to push the envelope even when it's not popular to push it. And on that note, I'm going to address an issue that was raised earlier, and that's about a proposal that I just announced and I will be introducing next week. And it comes from a very simple idea that everyone should play by the same rules, and that even a $13 billion corporation should do what every single small business and every single resident of San Francisco does, and that is radically pay their taxes. The issue of whether companies like Airbnb should pay their taxes before their business operations are legalized is an issue that came before the board, and there was a close vote, 6-5, on that very issue. Well, the deciding vote at that point was the District 3 supervisor. We have a new District 3 supervisor. And this new District 3 supervisor, like the rest of us, will have the opportunity to vote. And I hope that the vote reflects what I hope is true in San Francisco, that no matter how well connected a company is, no matter how much in political contributions are made, that they still have to play by the same rules as everyone. And so I will be, as this new board takes over, introducing legislation next week that will simply require that the implementation of any law is predicated on companies actually paying their taxes. We believe that they are already required to do so. Our city treasurer issued a statement to that effect. And to the extent that there's any question about whether someone has paid taxes, we believe that city law allows our elected officials, including the city treasurer, to say whether or not taxes have been paid. We don't believe that any law is needed for us to hear directly from him on that point. But to the extent that new law is needed,
We are also introducing a change to existing law so that the treasurer can report to the taxpayers of the city and county of San Francisco whether taxes have been paid where they have been owed. To that end, we will also be calling for a hearing so that we can hear directly from our city treasurer in public and all of the agencies that are involved to address the very simple issue. In San Francisco, do corporations get to play by special rules, or are all of us required to follow the law? Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Campos. Now I'd like to recognize my colleague from District 1, Supervisor Eric Marr.
Thank you, President Breed. Colleagues, I'll be as short as I can. And I wanted to first congratulate Julie Christensen, her family, and all the community-based organizations she's worked with. I'm looking forward to the approach of goal setting and action and results that you've set. I also wanted to thank Supervisor Campos and Avalos and Kim for raising the concerns of the growing inequality and the displacement and the evictions that are going on in our communities. I know Supervisor Christensen also addressed that as well. And I think we're poised with our new president, London Breed, as a board with leadership from the first African-American woman to lead this board, from a person that came from Plaza East and strong grassroots in the community to become the president of a board of the greatest city I think that ever was or ever will be, not just because of the giants, but because of all of you and what you do in our communities every day. But it's an honor to be serving with our new president, London Breed, as well. I wanted to also say that to the even-numbered year supervisors, it's great to hear all of the goals that are set out on a day like today, the acknowledgement and love of family members and colleagues, and then really the credit given to the hardworking staff that make us look good or bad sometimes. But I think it's the work that you do every day that really makes the wheels of this building work, in addition to the great department heads and their staff as well. But I wanted to thank the even-year supervisor colleagues for their great comments as well. Really quickly, for my work in this coming year, I think focusing on the economic justice issues that others have brought up, the implementation of the raising of the minimum wage, the strongest in this country, but also addressing the Retail Workers' Bill of Rights and working conditions of many of our retail workers, young and old workers as well, is critical. Working on transportation justice issues and transportation policy is critical for this coming year. As Supervisor and former President Tang mentioned, the passage of the bond is critical, but we also need other revenue that we've identified with our Transportation 2030 committee. So I'm looking forward to not just making sure that the city's core is taken care of, but also the outside lands of the Richmond District, the Sunset, and the outer areas are really covered, and that we have rapid networks, not just on Van Ness and Geary, but also in the southeast parts of the city as well. So I think that's critical for transportation justice and transportation systems in general. To the many community-based groups from the Richmond District and the leaders that have come today as well, I know that we'll be focusing on an agenda as we move forward in the next year and 2 years for our Richmond District, but also as we as a outside lands district play a role in making the city even greater for all of our neighborhoods and districts. So with that, congratulations, President Breed. Welcome, Supervisor Christensen, and thank you everyone for being here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Marr. Now, for this great supervisor from District 7, Supervisor Norman Yee.
Thank you, President Breed. I'm going to take a page out of Supervisor Christensen's notes here, which is be short and concise. Thank you very much. And congratulations to being appointed. And I'm looking forward to working with you and the rest of the colleagues here. This is really exciting for me, mainly because, again, like some of my colleagues here, I started out 2 years ago and didn't know what I was doing. And at this point, it feels like I've learned quite a bit in 2 years. And I'm seeing some of the fruit of my efforts and my staff's effort in regards to what we want to do for our agenda. And it's really gratifying to hear the rest of my colleagues here talking about their goals and so forth, because we have so much common areas to work on that I believe that whatever I saw in 2 years, the last 2 years, that the next 2 years, I'm going to see a very accelerated rate of accomplishments on this board. So I don't want to go on and on. I just want to congratulate, because really today is about the president, the new president. Thank you very much, President Breed, to stepping up to the podium and leading us for the next 2 years. And thank you, Supervisor Tang, for taking over for that short period to make sure that we don't see anything falling through the cracks. And all those that got re-elected and also appointed, I'm really looking forward. I want to roll up my sleeves and get to work. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Supervisor Yee. Now I'd like to acknowledge Supervisor Kim, who I believe wanted to rescind the vote.
Do we have a second for that, Madam President?
Do we have a second for that? Seconded by Supervisor Tang. With that, the vote has been rescinded. Without objection? Oh, did you make the motion?
Yes, I did make the motion.
Okay. Let me go back. New president mistake. I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge Supervisor Kim. And Supervisor Kim, what would you like to do?
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to take an opportunity to make this motion to rescind the vote so that we can make a unanimous vote in your presidency. I would be remiss to not be able to vote on the first female president in the 21st century here in this chambers here in San Francisco, and our first African-American president since Doris Ward in the mid-90s. As a female elected in the city, it is really great to see a woman sitting on the dais. And so I made that motion, and I would like to retake the vote.
Thank you. And so a motion has been made by Supervisor Kim, and it is Supervisor Campos.
Thank you, Madam President. And I just want to share the comments from Supervisor Kim, and I think it would be important for us to have a unanimous vote, so I look forward to supporting you. Thank you.
Thank you. So with that, is there a second for the motion? Seconded by Supervisor Tang. Madam Clerk, can we have a roll call vote to rescind the vote?
Madam President, I think you called that without objection.
Okay, without objection. This item is passed without objection. Now, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll on the motion?
On the nomination of Supervisor Breed to the office of Board President, Supervisor Avalos.
Aye.
Avalos, aye. Supervisor Breed.
Aye.
Breed, aye. Supervisor Campos.
Aye.
Campos, aye. Supervisor Christensen.
Aye.
Christensen, aye. Supervisor Cohen.
Aye.
Cohen, aye. Supervisor Farrell.
Aye.
Farrell, aye. Supervisor Kim.
Aye.
Kim, aye. Supervisor Marr.
Aye.
Marr, aye. Supervisor Tang.
Aye.
Tang, aye. Supervisor Wiener.
Aye.
Wiener, aye. Supervisor Yee.
Aye.
Yee, aye. There are 11 ayes.
Thank you. Again, colleagues, thank you so very much. I know that your friends and family are waiting to give you hugs, and some folks are waiting in your offices to just congratulate some of the re-elected supervisors and to welcome our new colleague here today. And so I will try to be as brief as possible. I am truly honored and truly grateful to be here today, to be the president of the San Francisco Board of Supervisors. This is pretty amazing, and to be the second African-American woman to serve in this capacity, it is truly amazing. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you to Mayor Lee, to our clerk, Angela Calvillo, and her staff, and to the city attorney, and to many of the staff in this building, and the people who continue to work with us every single day. I know Kate Howard isn't here, our budget chair. I wanted to acknowledge her, Ben Rosenfield, and Harvey Rose, and others who help us work together to put our budgets together, to deal with the city. Nicole Wheaton from the mayor's office. I see Jose Cisneros, our treasurer. I acknowledge all these people because when it's time to deal with our budget, I want to make sure that the money goes to the right places, and these are the people who make it happen in our city. Thank you. Thank you to my staff. Thank you to Connor Johnston for carrying my purse on occasion and continuing to be a great staff member, to Juan Serta, who is always readily available to do whatever it takes to make sure that our folks, our office is being run well, and to Valley Brown, who takes amazing care of District 5. Thank you very much for being an amazing support to me. And I want to thank the residents of District 5. The residents of District 5 were the ones who believed in me, who gave me this opportunity, and I am grateful and will continue to do everything I can to serve District 5 now as I move into the presidency as a representative not only for the residents of District 5, but a representative for the entire city. I sit up here today reflecting on where I started, and it was not very far from here. Public housing unit, living anywhere from 5 to 9 people living there on $700 a month with my grandmother, my aunt, my brothers, my sisters at times. And I remember us standing in church lines to get donated food and standing in firehouse lines during Christmas time to get toys. I remember when I was 12 seeing my friend get shot right in front of us as we were trying to enjoy ourselves outside. I remember recycling, meaning reusing anything that we could, because, for example, when you're drinking, we had jars that we reused as glasses because in many instances those were some of the basic things that we couldn't afford. I remember feeling left out, isolated, being powerless as I watched the city move by all around me. But the good news is that I had a grandmother and a community who loved me, and early on I learned lessons that San Franciscans should carefully remember today. Wealth is nothing without love, without compassion. I was loved and I was embraced by a system that, even with all of its faults, cared about me. Each morning, I woke up in a federally funded housing unit. I rode a city muni bus to a public school. I had dedicated teachers who believed in me and helped me secure government loans to go to a state school. What we do here has never been academic for me. I am the product of liberal policies. I am here because liberal policies can work. They can offer a hand up to those who need them the most. I may sit here as president of the Board of Supervisors, but I will never forget that isolated girl in public housing. Because at one point or another, we all are a supervisor or the lonely girl. We all are the landlord or the tenant. We all are the homeless man or the tech titan. We all are these people, and we should never sacrifice one for another. I served the African American Art and Culture Complex, and I ran for supervisor because I wanted to help those who felt left out, those who felt left behind. That's what drives me, and that's who I am. I am not a moderate. I am not a progressive. I am a San Franciscan through and through. And I believe San Francisco does not need ideology. We need results. We need a balanced budget. We need safe streets, clean parks, a public transportation system that works. We need job opportunities, supportive services, ambulances that arrive on time, and public schools that keep our families in San Francisco. And most of all, we need affordable and safe housing for our residents. And we can achieve all of these goals together. As I look around the chambers this evening, I think what an honor it is to work alongside some incredible people. I consider myself fortunate to be able to work with Supervisor Avalos on environmental protections and clean power, Supervisor Cohen on public safety issues in the African American community, Supervisor Marr on formula retail and the things that we're doing together with Grants for the Arts and our arts community, Supervisor Tang on rebuilding Kezar Track and working with you on Government Audit and Oversight Committee on some of the technical details that no one finds sexy, Supervisor Kim on workforce training, Supervisor Yee on pedestrian safety, Supervisor Farrell on balancing the city budget and our public housing evictions legislation, Supervisor Campos on health care reform for all workers, Supervisor Wiener on pretty much everything, but especially on transportation, which I know you really care deeply about. And I look forward to working with our new colleague, Supervisor Christensen, who I know played a significant role in rebuilding the North Beach Library, which is truly a jewel in that community. The important point to me is that each one of us can say this about each one of our colleagues. We share a passion, an issue, a district problem with each other, and we are stronger when we work on these issues together. I owe an enormous debt of gratitude to David Chu for showing me how a board president can build consensus and foster an environment where doing the people's business is more important than waging political fights. I thank Katie Tang for stepping in to continue that role, and I pay homage to former Supervisor Doris Ward, the first African American female board president who blazed the trail for me today. I intend to follow in those footsteps. I will make balanced committee assignments. I will run efficient collegial meetings, and I will always maintain an open line of communication with my colleagues. I know I can be direct at times and sometimes a little too blunt, but you will know where I stand and know that I will respect each and every one of you 100%. I will do all that I can to keep our Board of Supervisors meetings from being colored by campaign for other offices, and I will start as soon as 6 members show up to the chamber at 2 p.m. We have an enormous challenge before us, yet fundamentally to me, they boil down to 2 things: growth and security. We are adding jobs, but losing confidence. Over the next 25 years, we will have 250,000 new people wanting to live here, in addition to the over 800,000 who are already struggling to stay here. How can we accommodate this growth, or any growth, if our own residents don't feel secure in their own homes? How can we roll out the welcome mat while we show our friends and neighbors the door? San Francisco has the highest or second highest rent in the country, depending on which report you read, and is the least affordable to buy a home. Between 2010 and 2013, we added about 1 new housing unit for every 10 new residents. We need to build about 18,000 new affordable units in the next 7 years, and along with Supervisor Cohen, I am committed to doing everything we can to rebuild public housing. Yet in the last 7 years, we only built 1/3 of that number. And even if we can securely house everyone, the city is not prepared to serve the larger population. Many of our muni lines are running over capacity already. Emergency medical calls have gone up over 20% in the last decade, but our ambulance resources have not kept up with that. And San Francisco is still almost 300 police officers short of our minimum staffing levels the voters set over 20 years ago. As a city, we have to make tough decisions. How hard we fight to house our residents? Will we build affordable units we need? If we are to grow, can we do it without sacrificing our unique personality? Can we create a 21st century transportation system or provide 21st century services to all of our residents? These are the questions we face, and they are not easy. But as Robert Kennedy said, if our times seem difficult and perplexing, so too are the challenges filled with opportunity. I, for one, believe, as I always have, in San Francisco's ability to meet those challenges. San Francisco is for America what America has always been for the world, a place of hope. For centuries, the dreamers, the pioneers, the wanderers, and the misfits have head west in search of fortune, head west in search of freedom, head west because there you will be accepted for who you are. That's what it means to be a San Franciscan. It is pride of seeing 36 states legalize gay marriage when only a decade ago we were alone in the woods. It's building a bridge over waters no one thought we could cross, then doing it again a year later. It's winning 3 World Series in 5 years. It's trusting the girl from public housing with the board presidency. It is the belief that something is only impossible if San Francisco hasn't done it first. Our city is a beacon that shines, the light that shines the way. And from the chambers of City Hall to the shores of the Pacific, I tell you with all my heart, I am proud to stand beside you as we shine that light for the rest of the world. Again, thank you to my colleagues. Thank you to my city community. Thank you to my friends and family. It is truly an honor to be here to serve as your president, and I truly look forward to 2015 and what it has to offer. Together, I know we will all do great things. Thank you. And with that, Madam Clerk, the moment we all have been waiting for, are there any other items?
Madam President, that concludes our business for today.
Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.
SF Gov TV, San Francisco Government Television.